It's a good day to be able to say I made the right decision, Paul.
And what decision was that, Brad?
For those who aren't aware, and as Paul wrote up, the bookstore in the Microsoft Store app is going away. And Paul, I don't know if you're aware, but I wrote a book that is not available in the Microsoft Store.
Right, right. How many requests have you gotten from people who
I
wanted it?
I've got a decent amount, but the
Yeah.
the problem was, and this is why this is shutting down. For me to get my book into that store, I had to go to a
Hmm.
third party company and send them my EPUB file,
Right.
which was all done, polished, and whatever. Give it to them,
Yep.
and then they would publish it in the Microsoft Store, and then take 30% for doing that.
Yeah. I looked into this myself a long time, when it first happened, and it just didn't make any sense. And your book, and actually my book too, right? It's kind of a Microsoft-oriented story
Yeah,
here. It kind of makes sense. You'd think maybe Microsoft themselves would reach out to us and say, "Hey, we're looking for this kind of content." You know, I don't know. This ebook store never made sense to me. Putting it in Edge never made sense to
mm,
me. Although I guess for a time there, they seem to be pushing Edge as a reader, more so than a web browser. That browsing the web is a form of reading. Reading PDFs is a form of reading. EPUB files, ebooks, all a form of reading. We can do this all through one app, and that app is this thing we call a web browser, which is like, okay. I don't know.
yeah. The best
It
part
seemed
here is that
half-hearted.
they're basically just giving you your money back and saying, "Yeah, you're never going to be able to access this again."
And you know why they're doing that, Brad? Seriously? Like, I mean, all you need to know about this is they're giving you your money back.
Mhm.
Very few people bought books from this
Yeah,
thing.
they looked at the line
You
items
know?
and said, "How much does it cost to keep the
Yep.
DRM servers up and running? How many people
Yep.
bought books? Easy."
The commentary I made about this at the time was like, you can make small use case arguments, right? Maybe technical books would be a good thing to have on there because you might have programmers who are working in Visual Studio next to whatever. And okay, maybe. But I mean, as a general purpose kind of form of content, you can make a much better case for a music store, a video store, an app store, obviously, games, than you can for books. I mean, if ebooks, if you were going to look at any of the electronic content that people consume on a computer,
Hmm.
books, and that's like the one they kept.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I always felt like this was inevitable. I didn't think it would happen this quickly, but who knows? Maybe the move to Chrome hastened it. There might have been a DRM issue there. And who knows? Look, it's possible this move to Chromium has solved a lot of problems because, you kind of reach a sense of clarity on what's important and what isn't.
Hmm.
And you may recall when we first started talking about the leak of the new Chromium-based version of Edge, there's a number of classic Edge features that are kind of missing in action, and it's not clear if they're going to make it or not. And key among them are like the tab management functionality. That stuff I think is actually pretty cool if you use it. But I just never understood this, and there was no real good integration. Like you could acquire ebooks, I should say EPUB files from Microsoft, Learning Center, whatever they call it, the Virtual Academy, whatever. And there's no DRM protection. It is an ebook. It's just like an EPUB
Hmm.
format. It's unprotected, but you couldn't integrate it into your library. And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, you should be able to mix and match books that you acquire free from Microsoft or elsewhere with the books you buy from Microsoft. Why would they never allow that? And so with each version of Edge that's come out since the creators update, which I believe is when this functionality debuted, I kept looking to see if they would add that kind of thing because it seemed to me that just is basic
Hmm.
functionality, but it just never happened.
That it never did. And yeah, so what? That's music service down,
Yeah,
books.
down.
Yeah,
Movie and TV is still there.
yeah.
There are two mitigating factors to movies and TV that I think, well, to movies actually. One is that if you're going to rent a movie, it doesn't matter where you rent it from, assuming you know where you're getting into. There's a guy in the forums today, and I think I've actually figured out what's wrong with what he did. But what he's basically saying is that his daughter downloaded or went to rent a movie and then wanted to download it to a device and watch it offline or whatever and couldn't. And he was confused about why that would be the case. Unless something has changed, the way that this has always worked is at the time of rental, you determine if you're going to stream it right then or download it, and it happens on that device. Like it doesn't go into your library. You don't get to access it from somewhere else. And I think that might be the problem. It's just kind of a goofy thing. But as far as making that an offering to people, Brad, you're going to go on a trip to New York or something, you want to watch a movie. There's no reason not to do it from Microsoft if that's the device you want to watch it on. It's a one-time thing. Who cares? I've always strongly recommended that nobody ever buy movies from Microsoft or TV shows because I just don't trust that they're going to keep this service going. But the little asterisk to that is the movies anywhere thing, right?
Yeah.
So some portion of the content that you purchased is transferable across services. And so if Microsoft cancels movies and TVs tomorrow, you'll still be able to get that content in Google and iTunes, whatever. That content is clearly marked in the store. There's a little purple Movies Anywhere logo, so you know it's cross-platform compatible. And that's safe. That's probably fine to do.
I would agree with that.
I still don't do it, but if you're gonna do it, no, I mean I don't. But it's kind of nice. Like on my Windows computer today, like I can let's bring this thing up real quick. Like I don't. Well, I bought some. Actually, I have purchased some content, but I have. Yeah, I mean, I have recent movies I purchased elsewhere here. Like I bought Bohemian Rhapsody, for example, is available in Microsoft, and the reason it's available is because it's a Movies Anywhere movie, and I'm not going to, but if I wanted to, I could download that to a computer and watch it offline. That's good. I mean, that's all good.
Yeah. So that is if that hurts your soul. Don't.
Well, again,
us.
I think don't fret. Look, this is just another little chip, right? At the facade of everyone's collective ego here in the Microsoft community. It's
it still just kind of makes you wonder about the store. It's just hanging out there. Just doing its thing. Granted, I almost wrote up a really long thing about what's the future of UWP. Microsoft needs to be transparent about it at build, but what is the store is not even a UWP thing anymore. It's just kind of this place where you can port apps if you really want to, and if you don't, all right. And then
Yeah, the rules have, I was going to say loosened, but really what they've done is expanded. And the notion of what is a store app has expanded greatly since day one. I mean, it literally, it was before it was Windows 8, right? It was what do you call those things? Universal apps or Metro apps or whatever. It was what is essentially today a UWP, a straight up UWP app. But they brought capabilities that were previously available only on UWP to other platforms is the wrong word, but to other developer technologies. They've expanded the types of apps that can be in the store, which I think is the most dramatic thing. And so when you see things like iTunes and Spotify and Photoshop Elements, whatever, those are full up desktop applications, but they're in a container. And actually, in some ways, I think there's a real future there because we're not going to see a lot of gigantic new app development on Windows. But there is a need to bring forward these classic apps in a way that's safe and secure and reliable, and containing them inside of some kind of a app package or whatever container is it's a good idea.
Yep. So we got that going on. Paul, nothing says confidence like things are going well with Call of Duty offering a free access up for a month to their new.
Yeah. So I wasn't actually going to write this up, but the reason I wrote it is because it occurred to me that I and I think Activision had missed out on one of the key aspects to the success of games like Fortnite and Apex Legends, which is that it's free. Right. So remember, if you go back a couple of years and we were talking about PUBG or whatever, or Fortnite at the time, whatever it might have been, my whole argument back then would have been, I look at this kind of battle royale thing and I think to myself, this is just a game mode. Like if there are 17 different types of multiplayer games you could play in Call of Duty or whatever the number is, this could be number 18. It's just a mode. It's not its own game, Like it's something Call of Duty could do this. I always said that, and then they did. It's called Blackout or whatever. But the thing is, like it's it's tied to a $60 game, so it's not free. And I think that's the key aspect. Like obviously the game has to work. It has to be fun. But when you give it away, you're just going to reach people. And so look, Activision hasn't completely figured out. They're only doing this for a month, but I think what they're going to find out is usage in their version of Battle Royale is going to go up pretty significantly. I don't mean to suggest it's going to challenge any of the leaders or anything like that. But I think what they're going to see is like, oh, right, and maybe they should have used this as a gateway drug to the rest of Call of Duty. And maybe in a future Call of Duty game there could be, the battle royale, the blackout you get for free is, one map or something, and then to get the rest you have to buy the game. I don't know, but I this is a great example of a classic game series in this case, but just a classic technology struggling with a new business model.
Yep.
Like these guys were on top of the world for so long. I think they have a hard time understanding this new world that has arrived to undercut their business, and I think they're struggling to adapt to it. It's interesting to watch, and I think that's the only reason I wrote it up. Honestly, I just wanted to point out that I think they and I did too. Not that I matter, but I mean, I think about this stuff, but Activision is a humongous business with a lot, riding on the success of Call of Duty here. Only did about 50% of what people were looking for.
You know what I'm going to title this episode?
No.
Microsoft's Library of Alexandria.
Wow.
Is it not perfect?
It's perfect. This is only one difference. No one's ever going to find it later.
Oh. Oh, well, ebooks bite the dust. Music has bitten the dust. Movies and TV may not, but I would say the confidence is shaken.
I don't see any reason for Microsoft to offer a movie and TV service. I just don't see a reason. I don't mind that I don't get me wrong. I mean, it's fine. It's good that it's there. It's fine. It doesn't hurt anybody. I don't know. I don't know what the overhead is for them. I have no idea. I always thought though of those services, like the one that made the most sense was music. And it amazes me that they couldn't make that fly. I realized it was never going to, hurt Spotify or something or Apple Music. That's not really the point. Microsoft's core market is this group of people who are your age to my age, and they have in their lives bought CDs that they've ripped to, MP3 files or whatever, and they're still interested in music, and so they might still want to subscribe to a service, and they want to mix and match that stuff. They're the old timers who just want to have the old stuff, and then there are some young kids who just want the new stuff. But I think there's an interesting kind of hybrid mix there that Microsoft's core audience today is still right in the middle of, and I am.
Yep.
And one of the things I really prized about Groove was its ability to do just that. I have all this music that's not in the service. I can mix and match it. I could. Now it's dead, but it was awesome. Like I love that. And those options are running out. Amazon got out of that business as well, which is amazing given their audience. Think about that too. Again, lots of old people, lots of young people, everything in between. You think they would stick with it. They didn't. Google still offers it. I don't think anyone knows about Google Play Music except for me and 17 other people. And then Apple sort of still offers it, but I actually expect that to go away sometime soon too. You have to pay for iTunes Match outside of Apple Music, which by the way, I still do, even though I don't use it. I just want that thing to stay there. So it's like $25 a year. I'm just worried that as these options get, frittered away from me, I'm going to run out of any way to do this. So I don't know. Anyway, it's dead. It doesn't matter what I think. It's all over.
Time will tell.
Yep.
We'll tell. And then one last quick thing here. Next gen iPhones are supposedly going to have larger batteries, which you've only been asking for a very long time.
Right.
So good.
Also going to have two-way charging.
Which
is, well, yeah, right. I don't. So, Samsung infamously has this in the S10 series. Huawei has it in their phones. I have the phone I'm using today, the Mate 20 Pro, has two-way wireless charging. What it means is you can put your AirPods on there on the screen, and your phone would charge your AirPods. I think of all the things I want to say charged, the phone is number one. So the notion of using the phone to charge something else is a little goofy. But I guess the use case here for most people is going to be you're charging the phone, and you can place something on top of it, and both will charge, right? And actually, you could see where that would be kind of useful, right? If your concern is an iPhone and AirPods, you have one cable or however you're doing it, or one wireless charger, and you can charge through the phone to the other device. It's useful.
Don't bring logic into this.
Right. Sorry.
Yep. With that, folks, we'll wrap it up for today and have yourselves a wonderful Tuesday.